Hey, Mickey Piggy.
Hello.
Hello. It's the weekend. Another week has come and gone. Before we start, we should probably say Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there in any way, shape, or form. I know there's so many great men out there that help so many kids. No matter your position, no matter your role as a father figure, thank you. It's one of the best blessings of my life. I got Callie here, my youngest. She's got 3 older brothers. She's got 3 crazy older brothers. Do you love them?
Yeah.
You love them. I love it. I never take it for granted. I love being a dad. I love getting them out fishing, exploring the outdoors, just doing things together. And Cookie, your hamster's doing good. So happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Can't thank you enough for what you're doing. This last week, we've seen all kinds of things. We've seen warm weather. We've seen one morning in the 40s. I think I leaned over and was telling somebody we're only about 13, 14 degrees away from freezing that morning. I remember it was like 46, 47 degrees, which was crazy. Otherwise, most mornings we're waking up in the mid to upper 50s, leaving low 60s. We're seeing 70, 80 degree temperatures. Things are progressing. Water temperatures are progressing. Fishing patterns are progressing. And I say that because we're starting to catch more fish on jig worms, Ned rigs, drop shots. They're starting to do more of their summer stuff. Still plenty of fish shallow, plenty of fish in the shallow weeds, docks, that kind of stuff. They're still kind of figuring things out, but we are seeing a specific notice and trend of these summer patterns starting to happen. I did a video this week on drop shotting. That's been a great way. We've caught some fish this week. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. If you want to check that video out and you haven't seen it yet, scroll up a bit here on Facebook, scroll up on Instagram, check it out on YouTube, TikTok. I got a video on drop shot, a handful of ways I like to rig drop shots specifically for bass fishing. But check that video out, and from that video, it can branch off all sorts of different directions and ways on how you can rig them. But that's one way we're catching our fish. We're also catching our fish a variety of different ways. I'm going to show you some things we're doing. I'm going to show you some ways we're rigging some of these baits, some things that maybe you haven't thought about, especially in the wacky rig world, to keep your baits more intact and catch more fish. There's some simple tools that you can find on a lot of shelves. Stopped into Thorne Brothers this week, picked up some of this stuff. They're well stocked. For starters, jig fishing. I threw a jig a decent amount again this week. I am fishing the all-terrain rattling AT jig or a finesse jig. I'm using a Mr. Twister pocket craw. You've seen me talk about this many times. Not going to bore you with that, but that's been one way I've caught a ton of fish. I am fishing straight fluorocarbon though this last week, and I think it's more of a confidence thing for me. It has a little more stretch. I'm not flipping in extremely heavy cover. I'm doing some swimming back to the boat. I'm flipping around the docks. I'm fishing more let's say, less thick vegetation than, let's say, flipping or pitching. So I'm using like a 17-pound fluorocarbon line. I got a 7-foot medium heavy action rod. I'm not beefing up to a heavy. Again, I'm not flipping it into the jungle. I'm kind of pitching it to different things, swimming it back and forth, pitching under docks. Just kind of an all-purpose setup that's been working very well to catch a whole bunch of bass. When it comes to flipping, there's a hook I've been playing with the last year or so. It's new. It's the Redline series from VMC. I have 0 personal ties on any level sponsorship to VMC. Some people have made comments like, oh, you have to say that because you're sponsored by them. I'll be honest, if you came into my boat, you'd see a lot of things that I use that I'm not partnered with. And this Redline VMC hook has extremely impressed me. This is actually a 3/0 flipping hook. And you may say that's a small flipping hook, but sometimes I like to flip some of these smaller presentations, more precise. I'm not flipping some of the bigger, gaudier things this time of year. That's where that 3/0 comes in. But I have this in a 4 and a 5/0. So I just like this new Redline hook. It's sleek, it's sharp. They did a great job with this hook. I like it. I've caught a bunch of fish. Super lightweight. Check that out if you haven't already. Maybe try one. Check it out, see if you like it. That's been pretty good. Now, before I talk about how I'm rigging these wacky rigs, you, my friend, have a frog.
We have been catching these like almost every single day.
Catching bass on frogs? What does a frog do?
Jumps.
Jumps? Does it just float on the surface? And you twitch it, and then you stop, and then you twitch it, and you stop, and then is that what happens?
Yeah.
And then you set the hook?
Yeah. We normally look for them like every single night.
And you have a frog there that's got some blades on the back. We have some
has-
standard frogs. What else we got?
We have
Ooh,
like
a red one.
a reddish, blackish, yellow,
Blue one. So we're fishing these Spro frogs. I like the standard or the junior myself. I think these ones work exceptionally well. They're durable. They catch a lot of fish. They swim right. They stay upright. Biggest thing on fishing frogs, in my opinion, most anglers maybe the error they make, the mistake they make is that they're moving it too much, kind of working it back. I move it, quite a bit of pause period, especially in open areas or on the edges of cover where fish cannot see anything because of the cascade of the ceiling, I call it, of weeds and matted weeds and lily pads. I really let that bait kind of sit, kind of float. It's amazing how many times a fish will come up, look at that bait, and even seconds after it's sitting motionless, comes up. And on frog fishing, you don't set the hook when you see the splash. You see the splash, I put my rod tip down, set the hook, because a lot of times they'll push it, you'll pull the bait back. We've all seen it where it comes back to the boat, Mach 10. You have to duck and dodge, splash, take a deep breath, reel down, set the hook. You'll hook a lot more fish frog fishing. You have been trying to catch frogs at night.
Yeah.
And you've caught a bunch.
We caught one yesterday night, which I bet we will catch one tonight.
All right, we gotta go look for
I
them.
never used the frog one.
I know, we have to use those to catch a bunch of fish. We have one rigged up on a spinning rod for you that is a heavy action spinning rod that I use sometimes. Brody's caught some fish on that, but so yeah, we're even looking for frogs in the yard at night. So that's another way we're catching them. I wanted to show you how we're rigging up these wacky rigs. I had a bunch of people in the boat this week and we caught a lot of fish on a wacky rig. And, you know, some guys were showing up and they were, you know, losing Senkos or Kamitas quite a bit. They were falling off this and that. And I said, well, there's some new opportunities that you can use to keep your wacky rig on. So a lot of people just take that hook it in the middle, and they call it done, right?
I know how to do that.
And you do know how to do that. You've done it. And I do that a lot too. I catch a lot of fish that way. But what I've seen is this can come off, it can slide up your line, it can do a number of things. And recently I had people ask me, quite heavily actually, what do I do to keep it from falling down? What do I do to keep it from falling off? I'm only getting one fish out of a wacky, maybe not even a fish. I'm getting 2 strikes, it's falling off. So VMC has something called a crossover, and I'll show it right here. A crossover ring, just a little ring, nothing fancy. I'll put a link here. I don't know if you can see it. It's just a little ring. It's got a little notch on the tip where you can put the hook. And this goes over your wacky rig, over your Senko, over your Kamita, and then you put your hook right through this opening. And then that allows you to more effectively fish. And I'll show you what I mean. And there's little crossover pliers. You slide that thing right on there. It opens up. I don't know how well you can see it on this video.
Okay.
I'll show you real quick how this works. That slides in there. You slide that crossover right along the middle there. This comes right off, nice and easy. So does the pliers. Sometimes you have to adjust it, so I'll just adjust this ring. You can see that ring right there in the center of that bait. The crossover rings come in a few different sizes. I may have one size too small. I didn't pay attention to which one I grabbed. Either way, this will work. Then you take your hook, and there's a little hole there on the top. Now, from there, boom. Now, is that cool? Now, check that out. Now I have that wacky rig still going, hook point right where I want it. This is not gonna slide up and down your line. This is not gonna get tore up by the hook. You're gonna get a lot more fish on these baits. So check out that crossover ring from VMC. I just found him recently. I actually got turned on to him by Sam Sobey. Sam Sobiek, many of you know him on YouTube. Turned me onto that. I will be fishing those pretty religiously from now on with my wacky rigs. Saving my baits, catching more fish, having less frustration. Efficiency on the water is everything. So that's super, super cool. Is that neat? Have to try that. You may have to be one of my crossover ring helpers on the water. So when we got to put those on baits, try it out. Yeah, go practice. I think there's a Kamita back here somewhere. So those are some ways we're catching our fish. Swim baits have been catching a lot of fish. Chatter baits have been on fire still. We caught a bunch of fish and actually a whole pile of walleyes in 4 to 7 feet of water the other day on chatter baits. They were choking these baits. We had to take pliers and get them out of their throats. Super fun way to catch fish. I anticipate this week, I got a busy day, a bunch of doubles this week, a lot of stuff on Lake Minnetonka is where we're going to be primarily fishing this week. Those of you fishing the Denny's tomorrow, good luck. Sure, try it out. Good luck to those of you fishing the Denny's tomorrow. The bite out there has been hit or miss. You're going to bump and grind and move and do all kinds of things and shake. We've had a handful of nice bites out there in the last few days. Some actually quality fish for a change on Tonka where I've been getting, my butt whooped out there for quality fish. Catching 30, 40, 50 is not hard. Anything over 4 has been tough, but we got 3 over 4 the other day on Tonka, so I feel good about some things we're starting to figure out. So for the guys and gals fishing the Denny's tomorrow, go out there, have some fun, catch a bunch of fish. Otherwise, this week I plan to zig and zag, try a bunch of different things, try to hone in my skills and figure out how we can get some of these summery type fish to go. Focus on schooling fish. Gonna put some gas through that Mercury motor and see where we can find, and just have a whole lot of fun. Got a bunch of people I'm excited to get out fishing this week. It's gonna be a good time. So I'm gonna report back a week from now, hopefully with some more condition-y like summery feel stuff. I guess we'll see what's going on, right, Callie? Does that sound like a plan? You figuring that out? Callie's experimenting, trying to play with stuff. That's the beauty of it. My kids are always in the garage here tinkering with things, rigging up their own plastics, coming up with different formulas or assortments of lure types and jig types and this and that. You never know. See, she figured it out right away. It's that easy. Check it out. Good luck out there. Have some fun. We'll see you next week.